Greetings, or what is up, and a very warm welcome to the channel. The sun is hiding and the magpie is casting. Coming to you all this, what are we on now? Monday the 13th of July, in a slightly relaxed lockdown. We're going to be live casting some Homeworld Deserts of Karak first of all, and then we're going to move on and, of course, cast some Company of Heroes too, because that is what I like to do. Let's take a look at the schedule quickly for this week. It's going to basically look the same as last week. I do apologise, actually, for casting an hour early. I'll go into the reasons for that in just a second. But yes, of course, today it's going to be Midday Magpie, albeit an hour early. And then Wednesday and Thursday we're going to be casting at 1600 hours GMT. Pretty much as has been the last two. Oh my god, does it say Evening Magpie? I didn't update the stream information. Well, once again, thank you very much, Jono, for correcting me on that one. I need to get better at remembering to do that. We're going to update it now, but the push notifications, it turns out, have already gone out, so smooth. Keeping it real, keeping it high skill casting here. Magpie 842, as you're used to. Someone did forget to update the title before going live. So yes, I'm casting an hour early today just because work this last week has been like super busy. I've been rushed off my feet and I actually just have a ton of stuff to do today and all of this week. So basically I had this, I was free and ready to cast an hour early, and so I thought, you know, I basically have to start the stream now because it means that I'll get another hour at the end of the stream to do work. So yeah, life is just like that sometimes. And now that lockdown is easing, there is just more stuff going on. I've got just a lot more people getting in touch with me, needing things done. So yeah, that's basically why I had to change plans. But I'm super glad that so many people could turn out already. Really nice to see you all in chat. Thank you very much. So without further ado, let's get on in to the Homeworld Deserts of Karak action. And see exactly what today's replay will bring. Every single replay, because we've been doing one Homeworld Deserts of Karak game per cast, every single one of them has been really fun. They've all just been absolutely fantastic. So I don't even know who's playing in today's one. I'm just taking them in the order that they are in the replay pack. So we will find out. And just bear with me. Seems like there was a quick update for the game, but that is on its way now. And we should be able to launch the game. Here we go. Da-da-da. All right, I'm ready. Where's my watch? Oh, there it is. I was going to say, I normally have a watch. High RNG casting. That is a good point, creative name. It is evening somewhere, that's for sure. Oh, that's a good shout, Datton. I probably will want to change the game to Deserts of Karak on Twitch. Thank you, guys. Let's get that done. There we go, slick. Alrighty. So, it looks like it's going to be a game on Firebase Krill here. I'll just bring you guys on in. So we've got a game on Firebase Krill here, and it's going to be A-Game Anx versus Discara. This one's set to be a banger. Alright. You cannot get a more classical high-level matchup in Homeworld Deserts of Karak than A-Game Anx playing one of the Galzian factions. Looks like it's going to be Knef versus Discara's coalition. That is a very special matchup and has occupied the top bill of many a tournament final. So let's see. We're going to introduce these two players. Spawning in the south here as the red Knefi forces, it's going to be A-Game Anx. And spawning in the north as the coalition forces in the blue, it is going to be Discara. So a lot of history between these two players. They've been active since the very earliest days of Deserts of Karak, at the very top of the game. A-Game Anx has had quite a hand as well, basically, as far as I know, single-handedly, or kind of running the community balance patch. I mean, obviously there's been a lot of people helping him with suggestions and doing a lot of testing and so forth, but A-Game is really the driving force behind the fantastic community balance patches that we've seen for this game. And so his understanding of the present game and the present meta is, you could argue, perhaps the most well-developed of anyone out there. So pay attention, Knef players, because whatever we're about to see is probably a decent build for the map. Let's put it that way. Discara looks like is going to be playing a fairly respectful opening. Going to be going for the support carrier, the support cruiser here. and we'll be macroing up behind that. For A game, it looks like it will also be a respectful opening, and that is kind of what we expect from these players. I would say most of the time between these two players. The thing is, these two are both high level enough that most of the time they want to play a macro game, and that is where they are strongest. But they also are incredibly good at rushes and early aggression, and like all the best players, they mix those builds in a certain percentage of the time to keep their opponents on their toes and to force opponents to have to respect the possibility of those kinds of plays. But looks like this game is going to look like the majority of games, at least in the earlier stages between these two players, and they're going to be respectfully macroing up. So the production cruiser for A game here is going to move on over to the second resource location. Going to crack that one open and start mining now that refinery mode has finished. The support cruiser here for the coalition player will be taking over mining at the first location, and Descara going to transition that carrier across here to the second location. Looks like Descara, having gone for AAV, actually he doesn't have AAV fab. But yeah, going to be going for fighter and gunship fabrication. Wait. Can coalition forces get fighter and gunship without AAV fab? Wow, because like that is locked, like interceptor tech is locked behind assault ship for coalition. Sorry, for Kenneth and Galzian. Wow, this is what happens when you never play as coalition. You just don't know their tech tree. There we go. Wow. A game's going to grab this artifact and start heading this one out. Yeah, I thought it should be locked behind AAV tech. Maybe it has been changed in the community balance patch. That's really interesting. Jono, sorry about the bait and switch. I know this was advertised as a Company of Heroes 2, and believe me, in less than 27 minutes, it will be a Company of Heroes 2 stream. You've only been a little bit baited and somewhat slightly switched. So, okay, that is 1-0 as the base runner of A-Game Angst there going to extract an artifact. And a little bit of a scuffle going on over here as a sand skimmer just going to poke on in, get a tiny bit of damage on this base runner. Nothing to write home about, of course. The carrier cannon will repair that. And the sand skimmer going to slink away. A-Game using the highly mobile strike craft here to set up a sensor network of vision so that he has tabs on exactly what A-Game is going to... on what Descara is up to. A-Game going to follow up with railgun fabrication. And how many... Okay, so we've got 3 strike fighters on the queue. 2 built, 1 building right now for Descara. And that is going to be something of a rude awakening. Of course, railguns don't shoot up. You will need missile ship fabrication to help with that. Production cruisers, though, do have a fairly mean anti-air sort of Dakar array. And with 2 of them, that is a reasonable amount of anti-air. Although you'll note, because of the way A-Game is going to space them out, then they're not actually going to have... Oh no, okay, maybe he's going to send this one over here. If their fields of fire are overlapping, then that's pretty decent. All right, here come the strike fighters now, and it looks like we've got 2 more on the queue. So we're going to see exactly where these strike fighters are going to be tasked with going. 3, not enough to pick off a production cruiser, of course. Looks like they're going to head straight across to the main here. They're going to be met with some pretty stiff anti-air here. Oh, immediately turning back, Descara, utilizing the extended sensor range of these strike fighters to sense the danger and turn them away. And looking to get some shots onto these salvagers, but he's going to just about get out. He probably wants to micro that back strike fighter away, send it back to the carrier, and it appears that these strike fighters have been repulsed for now, finding not very much damage, to be honest. So that's okay though, because they have all been preserved, and I think they should be able to pick off this base runner. Base runners have a modicum of anti-air, but not enough to seriously threaten this many strike fighters. And oh my god, these blast drones as well have been scouted, so that's useful, and they're getting sort of picked down as well. Is the base runner going to escape? No, I think the last missiles from these strike fighters should be enough. And there we go. He's going to pick up a base runner for his troubles. Keeping all of the strike fighters alive, though, is really nice. Testament to the micro skill of Descara. Missile ship research has finished here for A-Game, taking the air threat seriously. Going to be responding by getting out these radar-guided missile-launching vessels. And... Sorry, just... There's a lot going on in this game, so I've only just looked at chat. It seems like there's some entertaining stuff occurring. Alright, so both players up to 3 mining locations. This is what I mean. Look at what a respectful opening this has been. This has been 6 minutes of of jostling and poking and probing and responding, but nobody has overcommitted by even a whisker, and nobody has made any mistakes, and that is what I expect from these two. This is absolutely how I expect games from these two players to go. Now, the strike fighters are going to get eyes on the railguns which are moving out in mid. The missile ship is here as well, so that actually tells Discara where quite a lot of the money and research time for A-Game has gone. It also tells Discara that A-Game is interested in massing forces in this location. For what reason, we're not sure, but this is going to prompt Discara to begin production on ground forces. The armoured assault vehicles now going to start coming out. Chain gun toting units good at suppressing, and pretty damn armoured as well. They can take a pounding. So these are going to be the mainstay for now of Discara's ground forces. Now, it is perhaps a touch concerning that there's only one missile ship with this advance. And to be honest, that could get picked off relatively easy, even by the strike fighters. And yeah, look, Discara gets all the way in the back and he sees that is the only missile ship that's with these forces. That is a very tempting pick-off. I'm not sure if Discara realizes it. Gonna pick off one of the assault railguns, and that's a nice place to start. Oh my god, that missile getting a splash damage on a lot of the strike fighters there. They're gonna need to head back to rearm and reload and repair, because that was a lot of damage to be taking there. The Knef carrier is on 2 chips of power. So now 3, actually 3-0 is quite the advantage for A-Game to have, actually. That actually means that for the rest of this game, Discara is going to have to be pretty conscious of exactly where the artifacts are and make sure that A-Game can't get any more out, because of course if you get 5, that will be a win on the spot. So Discara will definitely want to be avoiding that. So this is a lot of railguns. I'm still a bit concerned that there's only the one missile ship out with these forward forces. That actually just doesn't quite seem like enough to me. Like, that could be picked off by 5 strike fighters with even a little bit of help. Looks like the AAVs here are going to be warding off this this force here. Just AAVs is heavily outranged and out-teched by all these railguns, but by playing around this terrain feature here, Discara is able to buy a bit of time. Starting to hemorrhage units now, popping smokes here to try and block up the line of sight, but still going to hemorrhage a couple of AAVs. That's acceptable, but we're going to need to see some more tech here out of Discara. So we don't actually have any other tech coming. Discara has actually pretty much stayed on Strike Fighter AAV. So I'm a bit worried for this fight going on. There are now 2 missile ships with this forward army as well, and that should provide a decent network of anti-air coverage. And so I actually think A-Game is in a great position now, ahead by 3 in the scoreline, and has secured the middle of the map, and that's going to enable his base runner to grab more artifacts and start getting them out. Now there's only 1 base runner, so it's going to need at least 2 runs to make this happen. Potential of a backstab coming through here for Discara. We'll keep our eye on that as it hits home here in a moment. And A-Game here looking to try and take this high ground and get around this annoying piece of terrain, which is essentially stopping his railguns from kind of shooting into the harvesting operations of Discara. A little defensive force here from A-Game will be enough to push aside these armoured assaults for now, but they're not actually dealt with, so they might be able to come in and be a bit annoying. Of course, this is where the carrier is, so they probably won't be able to get too much work done here anyway. Yeah, A-Game kind of quite cleverly positioning his resources here, because his army is sort of defending these 2 points, and that makes this the most likely to be backstabbed, so having the carrier here is a nice touch. Alright, so A-Game still with field control. Let's check the tech for Discara. It is going to be railguns, and this feels very much needed. I really like the railgun tech. That is going to mean once that railgun tech is done, and once we have some railguns out, that should be a much more fair fight between these armies, because Discara's army right now is severely outranged and out-teched. The strike fighters, not going to be enough to defend the base runner for Discara here. The sand skimmers on the prowl will pick that one up to keep the scoreline 3-1 now, actually. Sorry, I missed Discara extracting 1 artifact. So 3-1. And the railgun's in a great position for A-Game here to deal with this incoming assault, but there's plenty of smoke available on these AAVs, and they are going to pop smoke and move in. Actually, the railgun's kind of sort of getting in range. Oh no! A-Game, do you sure you want to be moving them in this direction? The missile ship throwing down a missile barrage from the high ground, doing some great damage, while Sand Skimmer's looking to go for a backstab as well. So there's a lot happening on the map, whilst Discara is going to commit in pretty heavily with a lot of AAVs here. These railguns, wow, I'm not sure that I'm not sure A-Game wanted to move them down this ramp, actually. That was a little bit suspect for me. But there's plenty of assault railguns looking to come on in. This sand dune is actually blocking them out right now, but they need to just pop over the sand dune and deal with all this, I think, right? Looks like A-Game is actually going to play this really conservative let his heavy railguns go down. I guess he was probably microing over here. Sorry, I did totally miss this, but I mean, I just don't think those Sand Skimmers were going to get anything done. Discara defending with just a stack of AAV chain guns there. And now the assault railguns are able to close up on the armored assaults. So both players kind of not really achieving too much for the amount of resources that they threw into the backstabs there. The Sand Skimmers did nothing and were deflected instantly, but they're kind of relatively cheap. The big ball of AAVs did cost a lot more than the Sand Skimmers that A-Game lost, but it was able to deny mining from this position for about a minute perhaps, and also disrupt mining here. It also destroyed 4 heavy railguns, and that's some value to get. It was a lot of AAVs to lose though, so got artifact number 4 during that exchange as well. Datton, good spot. Yeah, so actually this is now sort of game point. If A-Game is able to get one more artifact with this base runner into this extraction zone, he will win on the spot. Now that is a much more concerted backstab. That is several, that is what, 8 base runners, sorry, 8 AAVs is that? 7, sorry. So A-Game moving these assault railguns over. Wow, is that some 6th sense or something? I didn't see that he actually scouted this, but I guess you just want to cover all your bases, literally. So those assault railguns are going to move on over there. And again, oh wow, okay, now it's Discara. Discara is always the aggressor when it comes to the carrier war, and he will be moving the carrier into the middle of the map here, looking to increase the pressure. Now remember, for Coalition, the carrier is the center of production. New units produced for the Coalition faction always come out of the carrier, and they come out of the carrier at an alarming rate. So moving the carrier here actually represents a significant step up in aggression, because now all of the new units for Discara are being produced right in the middle of the map, halfway across the map, closer towards A-Game. So A-Game here is probably going to have to try and play a defensive concave if Discara decides to press the issue. This is a nice position as well to have the Coalition carrier in, actually. It's a little bit awkward for movement, but it's just very central, so you're always right near the action with your carrier, which is basically what you want. That is a nice place to be, as I'm going to crack open an icy beverage for my refreshment. Now, let's have a quick check of the tech here, see what late game tech these guys will be going into. This has been such a respectful game. Just neither player overcommitting or anything. So it looks like A-Game has siege cruisers, and siege cruisers are out. Whoops, there we go. So here's the siege cruiser moving out now. So siege cruiser production is now on. For Discara, it is kind of no late game tech. It's just railgun. It's just railgun strike fighter. How many strike fighters are there? Like, not even that many. Alright, so there's going to be a scuffle in mid here. A-Game very much does not want to let Discara get away with these artifacts. There are now 2 base runners out, so Discara making quite the grab there. Also, Discara putting a high value. Whoa! That is a lot of exposed railguns, actually. I mean, this is... You want to defend A-Game's extraction point to stop him from winning because you are on game point there, but railguns with no support. It is like every railgun for Discara is out by themselves over here. That is like 12 railguns as well. If A-Game gets wind of this... I mean, actually, A-Game doesn't have many Sand Skimmers, but, like... If he did, you could jump on this with Sand Skimmers, and it would be catastrophic for Discara. But anyway, looks like these armored assaults at last are going to swing in and try to threaten the home mining location of A-Game. Plenty of defenses here online. The Knef carrier able to draw on 4 chips of power to start outputting cruise missiles. The assault railguns here move to come in, and those are a very effective counter for the AAVs. And so that will get deflected. And now Discara is... Look at this aggressive posture. These railguns are actually going to keep flanking round here. And there is a base runner looking to get an extract. The strike fighters providing air cover for this base runner mean that it is almost certainly going to put the scoreline to 2 for Discara. And, alright, finally A-Game, this missile ship is actually going to get the scout on what is a super alarming amount of force way out here on his right flank. He's going to lose the missile ship for the privilege, but you'd rather know than not know. And I am a bit worried for A-Game right now. He has 2 siege cruisers, but one of them's all the way over here, and they're not too fast, so the fight may begin with only 1 siege cruiser. Having this position here with his railguns is amazing, but there are just too many railguns for this Coalition player. This will be a one-sided railgun broadside war, as the Knef heavy railguns getting sniped off their high ground perch here. Brutal work. The Coalition cruiser on the prowl. A-Game defending on the left flank here, using his rapid moving assault railguns to ping back the base runners and make sure that Discara is unable to secure additional artifacts. But the problem is this forward position. This is quite a difficult point here for A-Game to defend, and already, actually, Descara has claimed this resource location, so the economical damage has now begun. A-Game is now only mining about, 2/3 of what Descara is getting, so A-Game looking to even that, going to send these railguns down the flank. We'll try and keep an eye on that, but this is a pretty big and positional battle here. The siege cruisers can abuse this position here by firing over it with their indirect fire missiles, so having siege cruisers tucked in behind here is actually disproportionately very difficult to deal with. So actually, Descara, even having the bigger, superior army, has to respect this position. You're not going to break that, even with these forces, not from this angle. So he actually has to play it cautiously here. A nice defensive setup, but remember, every second that A-Game stays in this defensive setup, A-Game is losing money to Descara, because A-Game is actually not mining from one of the locations here. Uh-oh, precision bomber tech is out. Oh, is that a precision bomber? No, that's a gunship. Spicy. The gunship is out. So the gunship on the prowl, looking to get some damage, but A-Game has actually masterfully snuck one missile ship along with these railguns to provide anti-air coverage. So that gunship actually has to respect the missile ship. It won't be able to deal with one missile ship. Unfortunately, gunships just do not deal with missile ships quickly enough to be economical. So, okay. It looks like both players are getting set up for a carrier fight here. Power reserve level 4 is done for Descara, so this carrier, quite the fearsome unit now, does even have access to the nuke, I believe, right? Is that power level 4 or 5? I can't remember. I think that might be 5, actually. Power reserve level 2 only, done for A-Game. So in the carrier stakes, Descara's carrier is by far the scarier weapon right now. And this backstab from A-Game has actually just not really been annoying at all, despite being able to occupy this position and pick off like a couple of salvages maybe. Like, not a lot of damage has been done, and now these units are kind of on the run, being closed off by a massive defensive wall of coalition forces. A-Game trying to poke in with the sand skimmers, but the carrier just holding mid. This position here is actually really good for coalition players. I actually love what Descara is doing here. Ever since the carrier moved here, the texture of the game has changed dramatically, and Descara has started extracting artifacts because he holds this area and just stepping up the pressure. Now, he's had to give up this right flank position, so A-Game is back on 100% economy, but there was a substantial period of time there where A-Game was being outmined by Descara, and as both players now sort of circling in mid here, the carriers circling. This position... This dynamic may actually favour Knef, because the Knef tend to prefer fighting with something in between the armies, because Knef has a lot of indirect fire options from the carrier and of course the siege cruisers, and we are seeing that. Look, the coalition army, it's stronger, it's better. In a straight up fight, if all these units were shooting, then it would be curtains for A-Game, but the siege cruisers are just able to fire over all of this blocking stuff in the middle. Even the Knef carrier can fire cruise missiles over the middle area, so I believe Descara may actually have to yield this position, which, given that A-Game kind of looks to have a way smaller army, is pretty cool, actually. That is Knef power. The rails on the left did die, Amadoranki. Yeah, they got caught. Thanks for pointing that one out. What a tense game. It is testament to the skill of these two players that this game has been characterized not by units exploding and massive battles and loads of action. It's testament to the skill of these players that this battle has been characterized by intense tactical and strategic positioning and repositioning and pokes and prods and responses and parries. And that takes very, very high level play. That takes a lot of attention, it takes a lot of game knowledge, it takes a lot of experience. So we really are seeing two high level players really flex here. And, it is still game point for A-Game. If A-Game can just... there is a base runner here, and he's going to make a dart to try and grab an artifact. If he can actually get that done, A-Game actually probably doesn't have to try and take a fight. A-Game can just blockade this position, using this as the sort of Knef object to fire over and make life hell for the coalition player. Put your siege cruisers here, put your carrier here, or here, probably here actually, and then get the base runner to the extract. It's going to be difficult because even if you take up this great position, the coalition player with railguns here can still snipe your base runner, and also, of course, remember, Descara still has, 5 strike fighters and a gunship, so the airborne superiority is going to provide another option to take out this base runner. So this is a tense moment here. I missed the final delivery. Oh, delivery of what, Amadoranki? Sorry. Artifact just died right outside the scoring circle. Oh, sorry, guys. There's just a lot going on, and that's a tactical nuke. Tactical nuke. That's a great tactical nuke. Takes out a siege cruiser, a number of railguns as well. Putting some damage on the carrier is added pressure. You can see the carrier just outputting siege cruise missiles as fast as it can into this lovely cluster of units. Even the Sandskim is going to come in to try and trade and pick up some railguns and that. They will. Nice. Very nice. But the coalition carrier holds the day, and it's on power reserve level 5, so it's way superior in a stand-up fight. So I believe A-Game actually has to yield. Shoots down the gunship. I mean, it's not like Discara is getting away with this for free. Discara is hemorrhaging units, and also taking a lot of hits on the carrier. Gotta be careful. Don't want to provide A-Game with an opportunity to snipe your carrier for a win, either. And these cruise missiles from A-Game. It is an art. There is a considerable art to firing cruise missiles out of the Knef carrier. It's like, it's actually one of my favorite things to do in any RTS. It's very fun. It's a little bit like firing corrosive biles with roaches, only much more entertaining. Okay, so when the dust settles, right? Okay, A-Game was denied. A-Game did not get the artifact out, but A-Game still has an artifact loaded, and by forcing Discara to try and hold this position, A-Game has actually bled out the army of Discara. Like, what was an overwhelming force advantage is now essentially even. Is A-Game still producing siege cruisers? No. Going for assault railguns. Okay, I guess that makes sense. And this is actually in danger of becoming a low econ game as well, actually. One of the mining locations now mined out for the Knef player. So, I mean, we've got 7 minutes left to play. A-Game is actually now being outmined, although Discara is about to mine out of certain locations as well. So these two players are actually going to possibly move into a low econ game here. We'll see. The coalition cruise missile is, I thought it had a nuclear warhead. I'm pretty sure in the lore it's a nuclear warhead, right? It's a tactical nuke. It's not a strategic nuke. It's like those ones that they use for busting the bug hives in Starship Troopers. I think it's a cruise missile with a small, like a miniature nuclear warhead, I believe, anyway. Could be wrong. Yeah, it seems pretty, I mean, obviously the yield of a nuke just depends on like how big it is, right? So I think it's like a tactical warhead. But I could well be wrong, it might just be a regular cruise missile. So, okay. These two players still jockeying for position. A-Game, okay, I'm glad to see A-Game has gone back to producing siege cruisers, up to 2 now. Siege cruisers are just undoubtedly Knef's strongest unit. Siege cruisers do this really weird thing where they're kind of actually effective almost all the time. They're effective at indirect fire, they're effective at direct fire, they can take out armored targets, but they also have splash damage, so they deal with clustered targets, and it's like, yeah, siege cruisers are really strong. I mean, the entire Knef faction is designed around having siege cruisers, so it is nice to see that we're going to be going up to at least 3 of those for this next fight. And Discara, does Discara even have a base runner? I don't think so, right? Not as far as I can tell. Yeah, okay. So it all comes down to this staring contest. Is A-Game going to be able to achieve a carrier kill, or break through with a base runner here? That is some really good strikecraft micro. Yeah, you mean the strike fighters, right, Dan? Alright, the Knef siege cruiser is going to commit an indirect fire barrage up here to clear that position. Railguns in a lovely position. Look at these railguns. Oh. And there comes the cruise missile, or the tactical nuke as I like to call it, from the coalition player. But this is a lot of railguns in great positions, and I mean, railguns tend to win carrier wars. They're very good against carriers. Oh, but the Knef carrier has taken heavy damage. Let's see how A-Game elects to split the power here. Still all in cruise missiles, very little on self-repair. And the Knef carrier is actually really good in a carrier fight if you can keep it at these kinds of ranges and just keep duffing the coalition carrier with cruise missile after cruise missile. You can get a lot of work done. So, I actually really like this fight for the Knef player. These siege cruisers need to kite back now. Oh, he's going to lose 1, probably 2. That's a lot of railguns in a really good position back here for Discara. As Discara is going to keep pushing through. Is there Okay, there are no artifacts on the way to extraction sites, so this game I don't think is going to end in that way. And both players, again, have to respect each other. They fought each other to another stalemate. Wow, okay, Discara is actually going to GG. Because I guess, is Discara just out of units at that point? Okay, yeah, so I feel like Discara actually didn't literally have to GG there, but I don't think Discara could see a path to victory in 3.5 minutes. I think this is going to be 3.5 minutes of Discara dying on this hill, because Discara is literally obliged to hold this position. There's nothing else the Coalition player can do, because as soon as you move away, A-Game will score the base runner. So I kind of, unless you can get a carrier kill there as Discara, you are definitely going to lose. And having hemorrhaged all the railguns in that last fight, I just think there was no opportunity for a carrier kill. And in 3.5 minutes, you're definitely losing because it's 4-2. So yeah, I kind of, now that I analyze it, yeah, that looked really over for Discara, didn't it? Because you can't get the carrier kill and you lose the game in 3.5 minutes, and you can't ever leave this position. So how on earth do you ever win? Yeah, A-Game says he was out of railguns and on low carrier health. So yeah, has just been ground down out of resources by being obliged to fight in this position, to be honest. A really nice position. And can we just mention this map as well? Firebase Krill, I have to say, this is a really good map for Knef. Really good map for Knef. Because look, no matter where you're fighting on this map, except maybe here and here, pardon me, there is always some kind of obstructive terrain feature. And Knef thrive when they can fight around obstructive terrain features. Like, if you're fighting anywhere on this screen as a Knef player, you can skirt and dart around this thing all day long. Same in mid, you can skirt and dart around all these blockers all day long, using your siege cruisers, using your carrier, using your really nice indirect fire options to bleed your opponents out. And A-Game leaning into the Knef playstyle to make the most of those advantages throughout that game. And that cumulative value that A-Game was able to get through that Knef playstyle, actually just insurmountable. Bled his opponent out of railguns, forced his opponent to have to take a certain position, and then that was the end. Amazing. What a sick game. Not sure that we can actually learn too much from these numbers here. A-Game just mining a little more, but both players spending essentially the same amount. Actually, A-Game spending considerably more RUs, which does speak to probably having a more sophisticated endgame composition there. And to a certain extent, I am a little surprised by the teching choices there. The teching choices that Discara made. Because Discara went for like Strike Fighter, and then stayed on like Strike Fighter AAV for like ages. And I feel like certainly on that map and certainly against Knef, you probably want to try and go for artillery cruisers a little bit sooner. Or at least go for some kind of cruiser tech, but I don't think battle cruisers are the way on that map. I think it has to be artillery cruisers. Oh, okay. Have a good day at work, Emma Duranke. Thanks for tuning in, friend. We'll catch you next time. The rapid scoring that A-Game was able to get done in the first half of that game as well was like really pivotal, because I mean that score just escalated quickly, and it's a bit like if you were able to get a massive advantage in the victory points in Company of Heroes. Once you have that advantage, your opponent is pretty much obligated to take fights in places or at times that they don't want to, and that's massive. If you can force your opponent to take fights that are really bad for them, that's always going to set you up really well in any RTS. So wow, there we have it. That was just another game that was really cool and action-packed. That was probably the most cerebral game we've had so far. Very few, like, oh my god, exploding huge fights, although there were some great explosions and huge fights. But that game was just characterized by such deliberate tactical positioning and poking and responding. Really cool. By the way, sub button when? That's a really good point, creative name. I need to look at that. I don't know. That's one for me and Twitch to sort out, I guess. There's probably still some sort of technical milestone that I'm not reaching. I don't know. I haven't actually looked at it for a while, to be honest. But yeah, hopefully we'll have a sub button at some point. That would be cool. So let's launch into Company of Heroes 2. And hopefully there's going to be some high-level players battling for our entertainment. Unfortunately, as I alluded to earlier, I actually don't have as much time as usual today, but we should still be able to get in a few games of Company of Heroes 2. I should be eligible for it. Okay, A-game. Oh, is it a thing that I literally have to tell them that I want? They don't automatically add it? If so, I'll go and have a look at that then, because I obviously haven't told them. Okie dokie. Oh ho ho. Oh ho ho ho. Fingers crossed. Yeah, okay, I think we've got a good game. Oh, of course it does require information from me. Of course, yeah. Alright, that actually makes sense. Thanks very much, A-game. That actually makes complete sense. Oh, let me just update the stream information to show that I am now casting Company of Heroes. To Company, to Heroes. There we go. I am not talking about the free Watch Dogs 2 that Ubisoft is handing out, but apparently that's the thing, so if you want that, grab it. Oh yeah, okay, I have a feeling this is going to be a really good game to start the day off. Wow, he's actually playing as Vermax, okay. Okay, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Spawning in the south on Crossroad Winter, playing as the Vermac forces, it is going to be Caesar! Caesar, who's given us some of the more memorable, idiosyncratic and cool UKF play on the channel in recent weeks. Very much looking forward. Caesar's UKF play looks like a Vermac player playing UKF, so I'm very excited to see Caesar play Vermac now. Spawning in the north as the United States forces is going to be Storm Tiger Giap, and here we go. This, I mean, these are two high-level players. This was the top game on the ladder. I'm a big fan of Caesar's. I have a lot of respect for Giap as well. So, and I know I can see there's a little bit of excitement, a ripple of excitement in chat there, as a lot of you are here for the Company of Heroes. And I do apologize. I need to be more on top of the stream information thing, because I know it sends you guys push info so when I start streaming. And I know that it's a bit confusing. For example, today, when in the middle of the day you get a message saying Evening Magpie is starting. And then it says it's Company of Heroes 2, but I'm starting with Deserts of Karak, and it's like, yeah, don't worry, we'll tighten up on that. It's important for me to learn, and I am very much on that learning curve. But here we are. We are at what is, for those of you in the audience who really enjoy Company of Heroes, we're at the main event for you. And this looks like it could be a perfect game to start things off. Just the perfect game. We've got assault, we've got mechanized assault doctrine, we've got double assault grenadiers out here. Caesar is doing, this does not look like Caesar when Caesar plays, for sure I thought Caesar would be doing a grenadier based style based on how Caesar plays UKF. This is a very different, this represents a departure from the Caesar style that I know. So I'm very excited to see what Caesar can make happen with a different sort of tools at his disposal. Storm Tiger Giap is going to be going for an Airborne Company build. I actually really dig Airborne Company as far as USF commanders go. Not that I really know what I'm talking about with USF, but any commander who gives you tech-independent access to both the M1AT gun and the 50 cal machine gun, I think is very strong for American players. And on top of giving you access to those very useful things without having to worry about where your tech is at, the Airborne Company also gives you access to the Pathfinders who we already see out, which are a really nice DPS powerhouse if you can look after them against infantry. You also get Paratroopers, who are an interesting, highly tailorable unit, which can be very strong under a number of circumstances, depending on what you give them. And you also get access to the very scary P-47 Rocket Strafe, one of the only reasons that we see people buy an Ostwind for anti-air, because this ability is quite terrifying for Axis armor. Oh no, Storm Tiger, sorry, Caesar here. Oh, just staying a moment too long. Oh, this would be a nasty way to. He's gonna lose an expensive squad at an early juncture. That was at the 3-minute mark. So a lovely pickup for Storm Tiger Giap. A moment of inattention there for Caesar. That fallback just needed to come down maybe 2 seconds earlier. And, you know, at the high levels of play, it is the small things that turn games. And that is a small thing that has turned against Caesar in the opening stages of this one. So, let's have a look at the bulletins here for you, Datton. Yeah, so it's pretty standard stuff here. We've got Grenadier DPS, which is a touch awkward seeing as how it doesn't look like we want to build Grenadiers this game as Caesar, and we've got the Panzerfaust range, and it's just going to be, yeah, it's just Rifleman DPS here for Storm Tiger Giap. Pardon me. So whilst these two players get set up, I mean, you know, we're still only 4 minutes into this game. Oftentimes in Company of Heroes 2, there's not a lot to say as these two players just kind of play out the opening stages. Let's just take a minute to mention Titanfall 2. Had another great session with a squad of 6 mates last night, and god damn, that game is awesome. I hope some of you picked it up in the sale, or I hope some of you who didn't pick it up in the sale but already had it have reinstalled it and given it another look, because god damn, that game is just so good. Really fun. Titanfall 2 is really doing it for me. What else am I playing these days? Well, I'm playing Animal Crossing. I'm still playing that a lot. Nice thing about Animal Crossing is super chill, and it's also quite social. So it's just a really nice way of staying in touch with friends, and like, because obviously we're in lockdown, or at least I personally am still in lockdown, like it's nice to talk to friends and hang out in a social setting, which is not like, you can play Animal Crossing and talk about other stuff, whereas if you're playing Titanfall, you're talking about Titanfall. You know, that's the difference. And okay, got a bit of a fight going to be taken here. 2 squads of Assault Grenadiers getting split apart a little bit here. See how Assault Grenadiers can trade at this sort of range? I mean, they are in heavy cover. I wonder if those riflemen... I don't think they're too close to ignore cover. Or they're so close that they can ignore cover now. Wow, he's going for a 3rd squad of Assault Grenadiers. Jesus, and going for the flamethrower on these pioneers. Man, this is an American player who needs a machine gun. That is what this player needs. We already have the Lieutenant Tech, so that does bode well. But yeah, this is an American player who's in need of a machine gun to control these rampantly aggressive Axis forces. So, creative name with a hot take. Recon support better than airborne in 1v1? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, recon support and airborne are like the 2 airborne style commanders, aren't they? And I actually prefer recon myself. But that's because I really like what the Greyhound brings to the table. And I actually really like the cluster bombs, because they're so cheap you can use them quite a lot. Okay, alright, it's not really a hot take, but okay. But coming in with your take, let's call it your take. And you've been playing Sea of Thieves. Sea of Thieves, have you, James? Alright. Yeah, I've seen a lot about that. A lot of people are streaming it on Twitch. And it does look really cool. And the other thing I've been doing a lot of over the last week that has been keeping me really... I mean, work has been busy as hell, so to be honest, I've not had a lot of time. But I've been trying to do a little bit of Warhammer 40k, getting ready for 9th edition. So yeah, we've got... I know I might have mentioned it before, actually, but I've got 4 Carnifexes on the painting table, 6 Hive Guard, and about 9 bases of Rippers. That's going to be the next wave for my Tyranid force. Very much looking forward to destroying my opponents in a new edition. Yeah, I've got a lot on my painting queue because I moved house about a year ago to this present address where I am now, and so obviously I boxed up most of my Warhammer collection, so I've been slowly unpacking it and getting it on shelves. I've put up shelves. I've got a lovely hobby room actually in there now. It's really cool. I'm a little bit proud of what I've done with that room. It's sweet. But I've got a lot on my backlog, man. I've got these Tyranids, which I'm going to hopefully knock out in the course of the next month. And then after that, I've got some Necrons, because I've got a really cool Necron army. Like, my Tyranids are my main army, Necrons are my second army. And then, like, years ago, like 2 or 3 years ago, I, like, painted most of a Death Guard army, and I've got, like, 7 or 8 more models I need to finish, and then that one will be playable. And then finally, what is going to be my favourite piece of work that I'm the most looking forward to, and so I have to finish everything else before I start it, is that I've got an entire Genestealer Cult army, which I got super cheap. It's all brand new. It's all assembled and undercoated. It's ready to start painting, to be honest. I got that far with it. And I'm going to paint them up like Brotherhood of Nod, like attack bikes and attack buggies and like red and black paint scheme. It's going to be so sick. I'm going to have a little Brotherhood of Nod Genestealer cult. It's going to be such fun. So anyway, yeah, that's where I'm at with that stuff. Alright, this game's getting interesting now. MG42 and 50 cal have been added into the roster, so both players have a measure of infantry control now. And the paratroopers are out. We'll see exactly what the upgrade intention is for these as the game goes on. It might be that Sturmtiger Gap is going to wait and see if there's going to be any kind of light vehicle or an early Stug E, and that might inform whether or not he's going to put Zooks on them. Of course, remember they do have the Zook expert, so putting Zooks on them is kind of makes them a Panzer Shrek-esque unit. They're really good with the Zooks. Let's just quickly check the tech for the American player. We actually don't have major tech on the way just yet. So the fuel is actually not there for that. Jesus Christ, actually, you know what? The victory point control has been going the way of the American player, but these assault grenadiers and the pushing aggressive strategies of Caesar have been getting so many cutoffs that the fuel control has actually been pretty wildly in favor of the Axis player. I actually haven't been taking that into account. Yeah, you know it, man. Nod buggies, man. I've got 2 of them Nod buggies ready to paint up. I mean, they're the Dune Rider, the Dune Skimmer buggies, you know, the one that Genestealer cults get. And I've also got like literally 20 of the little motorcycles and the quad bikes. And it's going to be a fast-moving Genestealer cult like Nod raiding force. That's the thing. That's what we're aiming for. Okay, double MG42. I actually really like this. If we can get a mortar in the list as well, I think that would be really cool for Caesar. I would love to see that. Caesar is actually a player who does enjoy using mortar squads when playing as UKF. And it's going to be Battle Phase 2 here coming up momentarily. And, of course, still no fuel for Major Tech. Damn. Wow. Assault Grenadiers have changed so much. I used to be really critical of Assault Grenadiers' utility through the mid-game and certainly into the late game. And I still think that just because of the nature of the unit, they do need more help later on. You cannot lean on them the same way you can early on. But, like, they're just much better than they used to be, aren't they? Like, the fact that you can put them up to 6 men is really cool. That actually really helps them in the later stages of the game. So, looks like the American player on the way to stabilizing. Certainly the Stuart is going to help. We're going for a Stuart actually and not Major Tech. This Stuart is kind of late though because of the restrictions on fuel which have been imposed by this Axis force. So there's actually going to be only a very small window while this Stuart is able to just brutally... It is going to manhandle these Germans for a while, but then the Panzer IV is going to arrive like relatively soon. And then I feel like Sturmtiger Gap is actually in a bit of a problem. Sturmtiger's probably going to have to call in like an M1AT gun, at least one. If the money is there for 2, that would be great. They're actually not super expensive, but they do cost 60 munitions, so... Okay, he's going to grab an MG42 here. That's a beautiful pickup. That is... Can't be doing this as Caesar. That's really bad. So, an MG42 will be added to the American roster, which means that the German army is actually just looking small. Once you lose that squad and give it away... So here comes the Panzer IV. That's some pretty cool camo. Not exactly very effective on this environment though. And now the Stuart has to respect this Panzer IV. The Panzer IV is going to lunge directly towards the American light. Ought to get the first shot in. Bonk. There we go. And there's actually nothing to save this Stuart. I mean, veteran rifleman will ward the Panzer IV away for now. And you can't chase in there. Yeah, okay, so an M1AT gun was called in. There is, of course, a Zook on the lieutenant as well. The paratroopers went for the 1919 LMGs, so they will not be able to put Zooks on. The 1919 LMGs, of course, super worthwhile as well, though. Panzer IV going to come around here. Oh, hang on now. Did the anti-vehicle rifle grenade come down? Oh, I think he just didn't get it off. How many munitions is the American one? 25. Okay, yeah, cool. He definitely had the munitions, but I don't think he was quite in range with the rifleman squad. If he was able to donk the engine, that could have been a dead Panzer IV there, because it was in front of an M1 and the rocket and the Zook on the lieutenant. But he's going to sneak away with the Panzer IV for now. He's rebuilt some, or he's added another squad of pioneers to the roster, which I think I quite like. That's going to help with the Panzer IV, and also right now I just feel like Caesar just needs more stuff, and it's going to be a Stug E. I actually really like this as well. The Stug E does such good work on these smaller maps. And this is really going to tax the American player. And to be honest, if I've learned anything about, like, especially... Well, no, I'm not going to say anything about this matchup, but if I've learned anything about Company of Heroes 2 over the last sort of month or so, it has been that the utility of having a unit like the Stug E or like the American Pack Howitzer that just consistently provides value, insofar as it forces your opponent's squads to be less efficient because they have to move to places they don't want to move to dodge shells, or they have to fall back because they're wounded, and it bleeds your opponent's manpower. So that it just cramps your opponent's efficiency like really badly, and especially if you can get the Stug, of course, to like 2-3 stars of veterancy when it starts firing really quick, it can be so oppressive. And it's actually not even that expensive. You can get 2 if you want. It's what, 75 fuel still, yeah. So, and for the Americans, it's the Pack Howitzer. Like we saw, when American players are able to get away with 2 Pack Howitzers for any real amount of time, like the game rapidly seems to spiral out of control because the Axis player just runs out of money and map presence. So, yeah, what I'm saying is I really like these sort of like almost parasitic style units that just sap your opponent's strength over time. The added bonus of these units, of course, is that they're actually quite good at controlling victory points as well. So they just kind of do all the things that you want to do, and they are all the other things that your opponent doesn't want to have to deal with. M1AT gun getting some great shots on this Panzer IV, which is kind of stranded behind the building right now. Stug E going to get the flank on the M1 though, forces it to relocate. That'll actually liberate the Panzer IV. He's going to play it aggressive by throwing the Panzer IV in for more damage rather than away to safety. Risky there. The Stug E now very low as well. The Panzer IV gets the kill on the crew on the M1 though, which means that the AT resource is now severely limited, but there are so many infantry here. That'll be an easy recrew. Gonna get the Stug E. Things kind of looking pretty bad here for Caesar. I think diving in there was the wrong call. I think you had to play that defensively. He's immediately going to reach for a fresh Stug E. That one's entering the battlefield now, but this has been a pretty rough game, to be honest, for Caesar. It's been close. It has been a very close game, but using the Assault Grenadier squad at the 3-minute mark always means that you're going to have a pretty hard time. It usually means that you're not going to have everything go your way, at least. And now losing the Stug E on an attempt to come in and cripple the AT resources of the American player, that does suck. That does suck.
Our bunker can now accommodate an MG-42. The enemy is attempting to steal our sector.
And this American army, I mean, look at the top left, look at the top right. I do like the American army better. Well, I do generally like it better. Obviously, the Panzer IV and Stug E provides a strong armored core, which the American forces actually can't match right now. But I think as soon as we see like one more M1AT gun, I think I'm happy that the American player is just in a way better place. Having no Fausts is bad, Datton. Yeah. It's not too bad right now because the only target is a Stuart, and whilst Fausts are great against Stuarts, it's like, it's not the end of the world, but the longer this game goes on, the more the lack of Fausts is going to hurt. Some 6-man squad upgrades as well coming down on these Grenadiers. In fact, have they all got it now? They will soon. So that's really nice to have. Oh no, the Panzer IV is just going to expose again. Oh god. The tungsten rounds get used on the M1. So the Panzer IV is going to scurry away. Ooh, getting so low. There's very risky plays. Feeding a lot of veterancy onto the M1 there. That's going to be a light artillery barrage here, which stands a pretty good chance of catching this MG-42. The first shell's going to flail in there. And the subsequent barrage, indeed, will finish off the squad. So that's something, but these units are still pinned. Wow, that was a really good light artillery barrage. He even got some shells onto the lieutenant there. Lieutenant's going to recrew this MG, and he probably just wants to... Okay, he's going to have to pull that one back.
The supply line just got cut off.
And, I mean, Caesar is technically stable. Hasn't been hemorrhaging victory points too badly. Has been kind of hemorrhaging value in terms of losing that Stug E, but as long as we don't lose too many more, like as long as we don't actually suffer any unit wipes for the next couple of minutes here with Caesar. There's probably a route to navigating this game into a decent position. If we can get armoured skirts on the Panzer IV, that's a good start as well. It's pretty close to that. Going up for a third Stuggy now, so we've got 2 alive. I think this is the sweet spot to be, especially on this map anyway. If you're going to be playing a Stuggy strat, 2 Stuggies I reckon is the place to be. So unfortunate that we had to buy 3 to get to this number, but we are here now. So as long as we can look after the armoured resources here for the Axis player. Okay, now we have the second M1 anti-tank gun out though for Sturmtiger Gyap, and that's problems, to be honest. That is actually going to be just what the American player needs to help control these Stugs and help limit opportunities for the Panzer IV. Massive American wave here, going to push into mid. The Stuart going to be spearheading the assault here. Panzer IV going to look for an opportunity to sneak through. Where are the AT guns? One here, one here. So actually this AT gun is actually pretty exposed. Can the Stuggy come across to help? Yeah, he's going to push in with the Stuggy a little bit here. Panzer IV is focusing that AT gun. Gonna whittle the crew down. Look at the damage on Panzer IVs. How good are Panzer IVs? But now the second AT gun is chipping in. So, okay, we get one of them. We have to get the Panzer IV. Oh, God, no. He's stunned. Oh, this is looking really bad. The Stuart, yeah. The Stuart is going to come in, but I believe it was the M1 AT gun that picks up the kill there. Yep, very nice. So that's a great shame. I don't think we could really afford to lose a Panzer IV, obviously. That's a massive loss right now. Oh, wow. Did he lose the paratroopers? Okay, wow, he actually did kill the paratroopers down here. Yeah, they all died, because both the 1919s are down here. You'd love to pick them up, wouldn't you? You'd love to... Oh, just pick them up. Nice. Alright, gonna grab 2 1919s on the Assault Grenadiers. That was interesting. I mean, this game is technically playable without the Panzer IV, but it is looking rough for Caesar. So able to retrieve this M1 AT gun again, back up to 2 AT guns. To be honest, with 2 AT guns, 2 MGs, decent infantry corps, major tech is done, the Stuart's still alive, able to be a rapid response unit or a sort of spearhead unit. Things are looking really good for Sturmtiger Gyap right now. Really, really good. This is going to be a very difficult place to be, and it looks like major tech is... Well, okay, there was a Sherman on the queue for a second there, but Sturmtiger Gyap actually going to change their mind. Thinks better of going for the American medium. Possibly going to be opting to go for a Jackson. We know that there's 2 Stuggies out here. That is a really nice sort of target range for a Jackson. American forces going to dive into south of southwest here. Oh, wait, sorry, that's southeast. Going to go for a bit of a land grab here. It is interesting that the fuel is being saved for now for Sturmtiger Gyap. Look at the bank, it's really nice actually. Here comes the light artillery barrage. Wow! Picks off a machine gun on the way out of there. That was the 50 cal going down. Assault Grenadiers gonna push in, perhaps wanting to grab that hardware. Would be nice to have a second MG again for Caesar. Stuggy gonna push in front of this AT gun, but with the Stuart coming into its rear arc. Oh dear. Was this a risk too far? That should be a dead Stuggy. No, he's actually going to get it out of there for now. There is a pack gun on the list now as well, actually. That's really nice to have. Pack gun's going to have to turn here. Ugh, 3-star on this Stuart makes it so mobile. Is it the 3rd star? Yeah, that is. Yeah, so it's so mobile. He's actually going to get that Stuggy as well. That's so nice. Oh no, the hit and run Stuart. Literally running rings around the pack gun. Oh no, there was even an Axis M1 AT gun. The Assault Grenadiers managed to gun down the crew and get on that M1. Oh my god, look at this Stuart. Oh, that's some nice Stuart micro, I gotta say. Well done, Sturmtiger Gyap. That was pretty nice. Jackson on the queue, so yeah, that is going to be a pretty hard answer for any additional armoured units that Caesar elects to go for, and Okay, he cancels it. He's gonna go back to a Sherman. The Sherman's definitely fine now. It's really good against infantry, and it can deal with the Stuggy. That's great. And I actually think Sturmtugger Gyap's advantage is such that you have enough time to go for a Sherman now and still have... I mean, having said that, this is still cut off, though. This is so annoying. And look how much map control the German player has in terms of, like, things taken. That's, like, really good, but... There we go. Finally, Sturmtugger Gyap is going to connect some fuel. So, there we go. So, with some fuel flowing in, I think that there is the time here to get out a Sherman, make life as hard as possible for the German player because you have a Sherman, and then still get a Jackson out by the time that there's another Panzer IV or even perhaps a Tiger tank way down the road. So I kind of think that there is a window here to get a Sherman out. I don't think this is a mistake. I think this is really cool. Anytime creative name agrees with me, I know I must have got it right. So there we go. Oh god, he did lose the 1919 LMG Grenadiers. Yeah, good spot there, Datton. 2 stars managed to come down on this one Stug-E. Now the American tanks have been bolstered though. I think that was a light artillery barrage coming down there. Stug-E still holding strong. Meanwhile in mid it looks like the Sherman is going to be laying in some infantry. Where is the Pat Gun? Okay, so the Pat Gun in a good position. Actually, already up to 2 stars of veterancy. Very nice. Pat Gun getting good hits on that American medium. Okay, yep, Gyap going to put that one back behind the building. That is actually a reasonable point, yeah. So, creative name makes the point that if you are able to take out this Pat Gun, this Pat Gun is the anti-tank for the Axis player. There ain't even Fausts. So, yeah, if you knock out this Pat Gun, then the game kind of ends. And if Sturmtugger Gyap is aware of this, then that is quite a direct route to putting your opponent out of the game. And one of the ways of which that you can destroy this unit, of course, is by rushing it with the Sherman, the high explosive shells, the 50 cal. Pretty good against weapon teams. Scott motor carriage, going to be the next choice. Okay. Actually, not sure what I make of the Scott. Like, they're great units, and they are going to be really helpful. I just don't know that you need it right now. Yeah, as this one. Using Assault Grenadiers as core infantry. It's definitely more doable now than ever before. I'm just still not convinced I like it. Oh!
We just lost a unit.
Wow. S minefield for the win. Nice.
The enemy is over.
What was that? Was that Rifleman? I didn't actually see. Or was that... Yeah. I feel like that was Rifleman that just got blown up in that minefield.
75mm gun carrier ready.
No, because Rifleman looked like that, so it was the rear Ash. Okay, who was the rear Ash? Yeah, I think it was the rear Ash down. Alright, so the Sherman's going to come in here to just clear these mines. Quick and effective. Wow, we've actually got an MG bunker here. That's not going to last long, I feel. Indeed, the bodies don't lie, this one. The bodies don't lie. Yeah, good idea. Just not going to be enough in this instance. So yeah, there goes the MG bunker. But it looks like Caesar has actually managed to get to the point where Caesar is going to be able to have a Tiger tank. And that is undoubtedly strong. Is it going to be enough? Well, we're going to see. There's definitely room for it to get something done because it really only has to worry about 2 AT guns, arguably the Sherman as well, but like really it's the 2 AT guns because there was no Jackson in the end. And the American roster is actually so big that I suppose we could do some vehicle crew nonsense and still get a Jackson actually, but can't immediately buy a Jackson, not right now. So yeah, we're definitely going to have a Tiger here in like 20 seconds, maybe a little less. And credit to Caesar for getting the game to a position at the 28.5 minute mark. The way this game has looked, at the 28.5 minute mark, actually leading by like 60 odd tickets. And with a reasonable army to work with, it's not great. It's not great. Things have definitely gone against Caesar at various stages in this game. not least losing an infantry squad at like the 3-minute mark, but also other things. So to get this game to a stage where we're leading by some tickets, now 50, and we have a Tiger and an army to work with, that is something. So let's see what he's able to make happen with the Tiger. Immediately going after the Major, MP40's blazing, gets the Major, that's something. And then gonna start prioritizing the Stuart next, whilst the Stuggy goes to work on the weapon teams. Actually getting a hit on the Sherman there, because that's what he could find. Wow, this Tiger is actually relentlessly pushing. Gets the Stuart, so okay, that's the Major and the Stuart we've already picked up as far as value goes here. There's some rear ash on the chopping block as well. And the Tiger is actually just going to rampage forth here. Really, 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 really wants this Sherman. But he's not going to be able to get it, so he's going to go for the ambulance and then GTFO, and that makes sense. Meanwhile, elsewhere, also happening, some things. Okay, so he does get tagged there by the anti-vehicle grenade. So the engine is now bust. Whoa, the Scot here getting started on by the Stug E, but the Scot looks like will sneak away for now, and I believe the Tiger should be able to get out here as well. He's being stalked by one Zook on the Lieutenant, but that's actually not too much damage. The focus fire going onto the Pathfinders for an instant there. Breaks the main gun on the Sherman, so he is still being stalked by this Zook. This is really annoying. Where is the Stug E? Okay, we need the Stug E to deal with the Zook. Okay, actually, he doesn't need it, but that would have been the final fallback, the Stug E to get rid of that Zook. Ah, come on, mouse. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is why you do not build a Scot in 1v1. Lo, thus hath spoken creative name. Yep. I mean, I don't know what you're talking about, creative name. The Scot is actually, you know, surviving. Oh, are you guys getting stream drops? Oh, please do let me know about that. I mean, it's basically out of my control, but it's always good to get feedback and see if there is anything I can tweak. Scott, a cheap way to get a vehicle crew squad. The thing is, right, I have seen Scots be good in 1v1, but I don't think they're suited to these small maps. I don't think so. I'm not saying that they are unusable. You can use them. I'm just saying you may not want to. Because, I don't know. I just think that you can do better things. On small maps like this, right, pack howitzers kind of do what Scots do anyway. And just better for cheaper. That's my feeling. I appreciate we never got Captain Tech, so we can't just call in pack howitzers, but like, just as a general point.
The enemy is overrunning one of our capture points.
So a Jackson will be the answer. And I get the feeling that everyone pretty much agrees that if a Jackson had come out instead of, or before the Scot, that would have been really smart. Certainly if there was a Jackson in that last fight, the Tiger tank could not have pushed so hard. And picked up its first star of veterancy in a fairly brutal shove, picking up a number of American units as it did.
Our capture point is being overrun.
So 180 to 202. The scoreline actually suspiciously close for a game that it sort of feels like the American player has more or less been winning. So Caesar here, just putting in a determined show of stubbornness in the face of pretty handy American tactics and play. Not flawless, but then that is impossible in RTS. Good God, he nearly got the lieutenant there. I really thought the Tiger was out of range there. Can anyone tell me what the range on a Tiger tank is? Is it 50? I would be curious to know. Okay, so the Tiger tank getting filled with holes there. Too many AT guns in the hood. And has to slink away quite low, to be honest. Light RT barrage going to come down onto these American weapon teams. That's a nice spot for it. Oh, getting a bit unlucky with the spread though. So not actually going to pick up that much damage. Anybody know what the range on a Tiger tank is? I would be very grateful.
The enemy is overrunning one of our capture points.
The 1v1 Jagdtiger. Creative name. Surely you must know the range of a Tiger tank. Help me out, buddy. Jackson gonna find the Stuggy at the start of this fight. Going up to 3 stars. Ugh, 3-star Stuggies are so annoying. So fast. Okay, no worries, creative. The repairs on this Tiger tank are going to get interrupted by the Sherman coming forward. Pat gun is protecting the flank though, and that ought to... There is actually a window where a Jackson can come and poke from here, but... And now comes the very potent P-47 rocket runs. So the Axis armor, he's bunching them up, which is risky. I'm not sure about that. Gonna scurry away here. This is a very strong ability. And it will force the Axis armor from the field. Keeping them clustered up like this is a touch risky, but, you know, whatever. Is he going for a regular Stug? Huh. I actually think that's quite smart. We're going to see, but I actually think that's quite smart. The range on a Tiger tank is 70? No, can't be. Really? I thought the range on tank destroyers was only 60. I don't think I've ever heard that voice file. We just gained a veterancy level! Whatever the fuck that means. That's hilarious. Alright, Panzer Grenadiers are here. They are the fresh unit on the roster. Them along with the Stug House of G. So the Stug G I actually quite like. There are enough vehicular targets that being able to threaten them at decent range is going to be pretty useful. So, yeah, I like the Stug G. It's also, I mean, if you're trading with a Jackson with a Stug G, you are kind of winning, because that Stug is a lot cheaper. Now, of course, the real problem for Caesar is this triple cap. We're going to have to... Oh, wow, gets Panzer Shreks up on the Panzer Grens as well. Jeez. Okay, I actually quite respect this composition now. Caesar has actually lined themselves up in the late game of this one with a really nice army. I'm kind of amazed that this is where we're at. Okay, double AT gun though, going to work. The Panther, oh god, he might lose the Tiger here. Oh no, we just overcommitted into AT guns. Wow. Wow. Stone Tiger immediately. Oh man, that was 3 AT guns, Jesus. I mean, you can't do that. You can't do that. That was a mistake, but I mean, it was only a momentary mistake. But I mean, he just moved out with the Tiger, did not know that there were literally 3 AT guns right there, and that will beat a Tiger tank. Oh, bitter loss there for a creative name. Sorry, a lot for Caesar. Sorry, creative name. You're all right. They did get a lot of penetrating hits, but then again, like AT guns, like especially with veterancy, and a lot of those shots were at close and mid range. Like, it's not super lucky. I guess he was unlucky that there wasn't one more bounce, because that would have saved the Tiger, and Tigers do have good front armor, but like, you know, you can't mess with AT guns. You have to anticipate that they will probably penetrate. AT walls are still a thing. Ask Soviet players. So, without the Tiger tank, let's crack the tack here. Without the Tiger tank, the position is bleak. Giap controls most of the map, and crucially is going to be getting that triple cap in action again. And there are just not very many tickets left to give here for the Axis player. So the Stuggy is going to come out, wants to get a flump on into these, donk on into these paratroopers. The rate of fire on this thing once it gets to 3-star is just kind of gross. Yeah, Hades, I like the AT gun penetration bulletins. They can be useful, they're fine. But I actually kind of weirdly like the production time for the, like there's a 50% increased production speed for the Pat gun and the Zis gun. And because I'm not as good of a player as these people, sometimes I get flat-footed and I'm like, Jesus Christ, he's got tanks and I need Zis guns right now to not die. And it's really nice to be able to spit them out really fast. Okay. Oh, it's another P-47 rocket run. The two Stugs are going to be forced to scurry. We're going to rebuild a Panzer IV to not die. That's the plan here for Caesar, who is forced so dramatically onto the back foot, doggedly trying to maintain control over at least two of these victory points. Will, for now, hold one, but these these pioneers will be forced back. Marauding paratroopers, enough, of course, to overpower these boys. And the American player will grab mid. And that might be the conclusive play of the game. We'll see. This is tough. This is so tough for Caesar. I gotta say, I am still... Even if Caesar loses this, I'm actually really impressed with Caesar's play. This has been a really... just a good game. Just demonstrating resilience. So many little things have turned against Caesar in this game. And there have been some mistakes too. Absolutely, there have been mistakes. But that's what RTS is about. Nobody plays perfectly. And Caesar here, to make this game this close, I think is actually really cool. Oh no, he's going to lose the 3-star Stuggy here. Oh no. That one is going to meet its demise here. The Panzer Shreks on the Panzer Grenadiers going to attempt to get some vengeance, but the American vehicles will slip away. And I think on balance, now that we've seen the way that this game has played out, I sort of think that this does sort of feed into, or sort of confirm my position, which is that I don't like Assault Grenadiers being used exclusively as your core infantry. I think 1 or 2 core squads is fine, but I think you need to back them up with regular Grenadiers. That's my feeling on them right now. Because... I don't know. I feel like trying to play the game without Faust is very, very difficult. Company of Heroes 2 at its core is balanced around all factions having access to a tank snare on their core infantry. And if you elect to play without that, it is going to be difficult. And also, I just feel like Grenadiers just do things in fights, especially in the late game against USF. Once you get those 3-star Grenadiers with the LMG 42s going, if you can protect them with the Assault Grenadiers so that they're not taking the bulk of the fire, they can really help turn these fights where the American infantry is usually so dominant. 2 Assault Grenadiers, 2 Panzer Grenadiers. Yeah, that's another fine combination creative name for sure.
Rounds complete. Breach clear. We're taking effective fire. The enemy is overrunning one of our capture points. Germans are on the ropes. They're down to 25 points.
So yeah, 25 points in the tank, and even with the Panzer IV out, I just am not... It's not clear how Caesar stabilizes from this position, so I think that this has to be game. And... good God, can you imagine if a commander gave access to Assault Grenadiers and Ostrapen? That's a world I never want to live in. Okay, well, I mean, a really good win there, being taken by Storm Tiger Giap. Getting ahead early, and then generally staying ahead. There were a couple of nasty moments, of course. The Tiger Tank lunging across the map comes to mind when Caesar was able to accumulate quite a good amount of value, and, you know, definitely taking the game into a late-game position that was winnable, for sure, for those Wehrmacht forces. But that's not how it panned out in the end, and Storm Tiger Giap was able to translate the early game advantage into a win there in a very cool style. I'm a little critical of the Scott motor carriage coming out at the time that it did, and I'm a little critical about cancelling the Jackson a little earlier on, but on balance, this Sherman came out at a good time and was able to do good work, so I actually think that was the right choice. So, yeah. Wow, that was a good game. That was really good. Yeah, I enjoyed that one. 2 high-level players, giving it their all. What more can you ask for? That one was a good one. So let's go back to the live game lobby now, and we'll see if we are able to find another one. Come on, Company of Heroes. Are you all right? There we go. So we've got Begbie and the Angry Dutchman. And then some players I don't know. There's Kasim there. We did cast Kasim the other day, but that is so down. Creative name. And Matt. I am inclined to go for this game at the top here. It's an Angerville game. I've not cast Angerville for a while, and it's actually it's going to be Vermac USF again, but that's okay. Let me just see if there's anything we can glean about these players here. Nope. Nope. All right. Okay, well, we're going to go for this one. I'm going to take just a 5-minute break, just to grab a cup of tea and stretch my legs. And I'll be with you all in 5 minutes. Let's say 26 minutes past the hour. I'll be back at 26 minutes past the hour. Thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in. We're going to have another game of Company of Heroes 2 here in just a second. And I'm just going to wait for it to load in before I go. And yeah. It's been a game of a day of good games so far. Already. Okay, I'll catch you guys at, well, I'm going to call it 27 past, because according to my watch, it's 22 past. So I'll see you guys at 27 minutes past the hour. Greetings, or what is up, and a very warm welcome back to the channel. The sun is hiding and the magpie is casting. Coming to you guys right now with another live game of Company of Heroes 2 featuring Spawning in the North as the Wehrmacht pieces. It is going to be Big B. It's going to be, hopefully here, demonstrating a Wehrmacht infantry style for us today. Spawning in the South, playing as the American forces, going with the Recon Company. It is going to be the Angry Dutchman. And, of course, Angerville will be the map here. So, one of the... definitely my favourite asymmetrical map in the pool. Well, there are some really good maps in the pool nowadays, actually. I'm not sure I can say that, but I still do like the asymmetrical design of this map. I know some players love it, I know other players hate it. But it's nice to have some variety. And it's interesting having one side of the map be much more valuable in terms of victory points that are over there. So, what the... What on earth has... how has chat got round to wanting 12-man Zisgun crews? I mean, I want 12-man Zisgun crews too, but I don't think it would be good for the game. Should be able to merge two 6-man squads and make a 12-man squad? I don't know. Sorry. Oh, my tummy appears to be slightly unsettled today, but shouldn't mess with anything. So, here come the Grenadiers. German infantry doctrine in full effect. MG42 here to support. On the other side of things, the INR Pathfinders are out. And will be doing their best to support two squads of riflemen. Rear Esh over here in the pocket will get outnumbered and have to fall back. How Pat guns should have Fausts to be balanced. That doesn't seem like a good idea. Also, and I realise that what happens in this game cannot be historically accurate, and if you try to balance around historically accuracy, you won't have Company of Heroes 2 by the time you're finished. But, like, they didn't give, like, it does seem weird, right, that an anti-tank gun crew would have Panzerfausts, like, because you're either shooting at tanks with your anti-tank gun from a distance and a prepared position, or you're trying to get up close to the tanks and trying to stalk them to get them with Panzerfausts, but very rarely do those two roles overlap. So I feel like they probably didn't give very many Panzerfausts to the Pat gun crews, but I could be wrong. I definitely could be wrong. That's definitely not something I know. Just seems like if I was distributing Panzerfausts to my dudes, I probably would not give very many to the guys who are on the anti-tank guns. But then again, if I was the guy in charge of distributing Panzerfausts, like, something's gone dangerously wrong there. I do not have the knowledge necessary to make these decisions. Alright, so fairly typical opening game so far. We've had the American player take a detour into some INR Pathfinders on the way to Lieutenant Tech. And that will now be on the field. And we've had a Wehrmacht player just doing the most baseline Wehrmacht opening build you can, supported by the commander who supports baseline Wehrmacht stuff the best. So both of these two players developing very well, if somewhat predictably. MG42 actually gets into the super annoying building. As the South spawning player, you always want to make, or try to make sure your opponent doesn't get a machine gun into this building. It is annoying in the early stages because you don't quite have access to the tools that you might ideally want to deal with this. This can be a bit of a thorn in the side for a while. We'll see if Begbie's actually just going to let it be annoying, or if Begbie's actually going to try and make some plays based around this, but this is annoying. I remember in the early days, as an OKW player, before OKW got incendiary grenades on Volks, and so basically OKW had no tools for getting a machine gun out of a building before light gun, and even then you had to destroy the building, which took bloody ages with light guns. If your opponent ever got a Maxim into this building, like in those days, Oh god, it was frustrating. And there were many other maps too. Good rifle grenade there. There are many other maps too where just like if your opponent got a machine gun into the right building because they just forgot to give OKW literally any tools for getting machine guns out of buildings. It was kind of like not game, but it did kind of feel like you were gonna have a really hard game. My god, am I glad OKW changed a lot. They were really fun to play on release, don't get me wrong. They were really cool, but they were so out there in terms of the design.
We are losing a sector.
Kaweme, that sounds like a hell of a game, man. Any game you manage to stabilize and pull it back on one point, you know your opponents really feel that one. That's a GR34 that is getting worked down by Pathfinders. That's a touch awkward. Ooh, he's working down those Pathfinders though. Touche. Give some, you take some. That's a good amount of veterancy to find quickly on your GR34. I like mixing in a GR34. I actually think that the 240 manpower mortar squads are underused. Because they're really good. Like, they're so useful.
The enemy is taking our territory.
Feuersturm Doctrine is damn cool. Yeah, I love it. Ugh, triple Brits. Gross. Interesting to see that the Brit forces actually had a host of nerfs in the most recent patch. I mean, I know most of them were like quality of life stuff, but it was still interesting.
Has arrived.
So we've got a 50 cal in off the back of this Lieutenant Tech. Oh, sorry, actually, wait, did he call in the group? Oh, no. Okay.
Looks like we're going in.
Hang on a second, he lost the Pathfinders somewhere. Oh, wow, this is a rebuy. These Pathfinders were rebought. Sorry, I totally missed him losing the Pathfinders. I mean, the mortar weakened them up a ton, and then they must have gotten killed on the fallback. So, wow, that's a nice one to have picked off. That's like 290 manpower's worth of stuff. Good stuff. Love it. And it's going to be a Stuart next. So this is like the most textbook standard Wehrmacht versus US game that I could have found. 50 cal going to be used to anchor the flank over here, grabbing a munitions point. The veteran squad leader upgrade now beginning to pop up on some of these grenadiers. This MG just continues to be annoying. The Stuart will of course push this one away, but like, look how annoying this has been. It's just like a big old circle around this building that the American player just can't use, and that's really annoying because that's like a lot of the lines where... Oh, he's gonna... What? Which barrage was that? I'm sorry? What have I... How did he... Can Pathfinders call in a barrage?
The Germans just cut off our supply
Yes, they
line.
can. Jesus, it's 140 munitions. What? Ah! Okay, that doesn't make any sense to me. Why waste 140 munitions right when your Stuart comes out? Because, like, I know incendiary munitions are a thing, but as long as you remember to drive the Stuart around the building, I don't think you're going to take any damage, really. So, I think that was 140 munitions just kind of wasted, really. I mean, we already have the Stuart. The Stuart gets rid of this building or gets rid of the crew from within, so... Huh. Okay, Datton, thanks for the feedback on the stream drops. It seems to be running smoothly. Like, I have like a little laptop down here, which I just have the stream running on, just so that I can like glance at it and see how things are looking. It has been smooth for me, so I'm hoping it is smooth. Oh, so it's the INR Pathfinders can call in that artillery strike, but not the regular Pathfinders. Is that what you're saying, Hades? Yeah, I mean, I understand that the building is a pain, Yandir Timo, but he had the Stuart, right? So then the Stuart can get rid of that machine gun.
A capture point is being overrun.
Oh, okay, thanks, Hades. I didn't actually know that about the INR Pathfinders, so they get the barrage and the other Pathfinders do not. Huh. Okay. I mean, yeah, like I was saying, I definitely think you want to get rid of that building. You need to get the machine gun off of the doorstep of your base because it is crippling and super annoying. But 140 munitions is a lot to spend on it, especially when your Stuart just arrived.
The enemy is overrunning one of our capture points.
Yeah, but I mean, again, the Stuart can sort of destroy the building as well. If you just tell it to focus fire. Oh well, I mean, for whatever reason, I mean, the artillery definitely got the job done, so that building will not be an issue anymore. That we can agree on. And, wow, this is an American player in considerable disarray. Axis forces pushing hard, like, on all quarters. And I love the composition right now for Begbie. It's pretty cool. Pushing up with the GR34 just tentatively is nice. Panzer Grenadier is going to get added into the roster next. Even Stormtroopers have arrived. But American forces have finally managed, with the demise of this building, have finally managed to connect up all these points they've been holding in the east. So resources beginning to flow. Of course, the Stuart is here, and that is a reasonable asset. Oh, wow. Is he going to lose the Stuart to incendiary ammo? Come on now, we can't be doing this. Oh no, it's the Pat gun. There we go. Yes, the Pat gun. Wow. Okay, losing the Stuart there is the Angry Dutchman. That's a shame. You didn't have to lose the Stuart there. But it did die very quickly, and that is for sure probably a mistake I would have made. So when the dust settles, I actually really like Begbie's position. Although Begbie has been pushed back just now, the majority of these squads will be reinforced and ready to come out. And once they do, Begbie. Oh, it's always really awkward when you pan over a player's base and they've got units awaiting orders. But I'm sure he'll give them orders in just a second here. Wow, actually, this has been like 20 seconds or more, though. This is kind of unforgivable. Like, you need to get these guys moving. Support Armor Corps, of course, going to be coming down. But I like Begbie's composition generally. I wouldn't hate a second MG42. And wow, actually, Captain Tech is now done. So we're going to be completing the tech tree here for the American player. Interesting. Huh, that's really interesting. So why have we completed the tech tree here? Not convinced I understand. Yeah, not 100% sure I understand that.
Krauts are taking one of our points.
Oh yeah, I mean the bazookas came down like really early. They were like the first thing, as like almost as soon as the lieutenant was on the battlefield, the Zooks came down, and it was a blind Zook purchase. And yeah, it just turns out Axis had no interest in using light vehicles this game. So yeah, those Zooks haven't looked like the best investment, to be sure. Creative name. Sorry, Hades. Fighting is thick and fierce. And the American team actually is leading by, what is that, like 90 tickets or so? That's pretty good. So what's the choice going to be? It has to be a Panzer IV, right? Actually, it doesn't have the manpower. Whoa. Begbie there, just not quite able to make the numbers line up. He's going to have the manpower in just a second. There we go, yeah. So it has to be a Panzer IV, right? Everything about this situation screams Panzer IV to me. Cluster bombing coming in. Actually, not immediately. That's such a good ability. For what is it? 110 munitions. That is such a good ability. Very nice. Yep, Panzer IV does come down on the queue, and just as well, because the Angry Dutchman has actually rallied substantially, and over the last kind of phase of play has just been getting the upper hand, getting a little bit more value than Begbie out of all of those last engages, and pretty much every Axis unit, no, not just pretty much, literally every Axis unit is right now in the base on my screen. And that is obviously bad. That is obviously bad for Begbie. And so the triple cap will be established here momentarily for the American forces. Double fuel as well. So a lovely reversal here as the Angry Dutchman holding on against the early pressure that Begbie was putting on, but eventually able to stabilize, break out of the base, to claim map control. And now we're going to have to see whether a Panzer IV can turn the tide here, because this Wehrmacht player is going to need to get out on the map. And to be honest, this is actually almost doubly bad, because Begbie was not actually able to gather enough munitions to really get the German infantry doctrine to where it wants to be. We've still got 2 grenadier squads missing their 5-man squad upgrade and the veteran squad leader. So you really wanted to be harvesting a lot more munitions a lot faster. I mean, we're 16 minutes in now. We've only got 1 veteran squad upgrade. And so, yeah, it would have been a different story probably. Well, it would have been much more useful if Begbie was able to just hold the map a little longer to get those upgrades. But anyway, here comes the Panzer IV, going to be busting on out now. Now there is an M1AT gun, and that is nearby the Panzer IV. Actually does get a nice hit into the rear armour there. But that won't be enough to achieve a kill, and the Panzer IV will be able to shove this MG away. Cluster mines get used to force an MG out of a nice building again. That's very nice.
We're losing a capture point. Contact! Get down! Coming up on the flank! Our supply line just got cut off.
Wow, no major tech yet from Angry Dutchman, actually. Okay, as I say it, he clicks on major tech. Alright, so major tech on the way. I feel like a second AT gun would be really nice for Angry Dutchman. If we can go for a second AT gun and then start banking up manpower to spend our fuel, I think that that's probably going to be the way forward. Just because, you know, your opponent has Panzer IV, 1 AT gun, never really going to be enough to sort of, to even provide coverage across the whole map, let alone cobble together a kill. So I do feel like we need that second AT gun.
Our supply line just got cut off.
Axis forces able to finally get something done. Going to grab a VP, going to grab one of the fuel points. Looking to secure the east of the map because that is the most valuable area.
Battalion just released a major for action.
There's that major just finishing up now. Panzer IV on the prowl. This GR34 splashing some Pathfinders there, even though they were in stealth. Now with Major, he does have a cheaper strike to use. Yeah. But the Major barrage is even not that cheap, is it? Well, okay, 60. The thing about the Major barrage is it's kind of cheap, but also not great. It doesn't look amazing. It's like a few shells. But I suppose when it's only 60 munitions, you can't complain.
Germans are making a push.
Germans are making a push. American voice acting in this game. Oh, here come the cluster bombs again. A couple of hits there on the MG42 crew, but not enough to mortally concern them. So they're going to sneak away. Panzer IV trying to get something done out on this flank, but that is actually where the M1AT gun is, so it will be warded away. This is why I'd like to get that second M1, just because then we'd have one for each flank, and then I really feel like the American player could just tighten the noose, and there's nothing the Axis player could do. Begbie is struggling right now, though. Struggling to maintain presence on the map. It's going to be a Sherman first. Oh wow, we're losing units. Oh yeah, he lost the Major. Alright, so the Major goes down. Not the end of the world. Annoying, but not the end of the world. Ugh, 50 cal in a nice position here. Somehow, not really getting the suppress on any of these Axis units in a meaningful way though. It's a touch annoying. Yeah, American units pushing well. I mean, as long as Begbie is fighting here, that's fine for the Angry Dutchman, you know? Looking real good here. Healthy ticket lead. Gonna get the Sherman out. I'm not sure about this Sherman, to be honest. I did sort of raise a slight eyebrow when I saw the Sherman on the queue. But we are going to let the Sherman finish, and it will be a Sherman coming out here, so... Yeah, honestly, I'm not sure about this Sherman. I think we need the other AT gun, like, I think we really do. Oh, wow, gonna lose the captain as well. So, this Panzer IV, actually, for Begbie, finally able to get some work done. And the AT gun going to catch up to it eventually. And the Sherman as well going to rock in. AP shells are loaded. The Panzer IV taking a hit from the M1 now, pretty low. Oh, taking another hit from the Sherman. The Sherman, feeling ballsy, is going to push in here. There is a pack gun, so we have to be careful. And yeah, he's not going to overcommit, and I like that a lot. You could switch to HE shells now if you wanted, because you know that that Panzer IV is going to be a while repairing. It was very low. Look at me. See, I know about American Micro. You can load different ammo into your tank. Ha ha ha. Desperately trying to pretend like I know anything about USF. Alright, double pack gun is out. That's really nice. Yeah, that's going to mean that this Sherman has to be very careful. I know we've lost a couple of core infantry units. I know we've lost some officers. But I still think that that second M1 AT gun would be really useful for the Angry Dutchman. Yeah, if we can buy another airborne, and if we can get an airdrop combat group, actually, I think that that's the way to do it, right? Because that gets you, it gets you the M1 that I think he needs. It also gives you the Pack Howie, and it also gives you paratroopers. I think all of those look really good right now, actually. So as soon as all of the elements of that package are appealing, then it's probably a really good deal, in my opinion. So I would actually love to see, we have the money there now for it. I think the airdrop combat group would be really sweet right now. Angry Dutchman may well have other plans because there is an amount of fuel banking up, and you do want to spend that in a timely fashion. I appreciate that. But I do think right now the airdrop combat group is pretty good. Yeah, Datton, they come in uncrewed, so it's literally you get a paratrooper squad, you get an M1, and you get a pack howitzer, and you just have to crew the two guns, and then you get the paratroopers. So you bolster your infantry roster, and you also add some technicality and some sophistication with the AT gun and the indirect fire platform. So I think all of those things would be really useful. I think a pack howitzer would look great right now as well, actually, because you can reach out and touch these pack guns. You can make the machine gun. Sorry, you can make the machine gun. Yeah, struggle. And I was just saying earlier on, we've seen in games where the American player is able to get up, a couple of pack howitzers. It makes life so hard for the German opponent. Oh, you don't get an AT gun. Okay, thanks very much, creative name. Yep, you're absolutely right. You just get the pack howitzer. Okay. The mortar has really paid off. Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, 4 kills looks low, but it's done a lot of damage. We've seen multiple mortar hits on squads, just like taking off half or a third or 2/3 of the health. And yeah, it's achieved 3 stars of veterancy, which means that it is fast firing, accurate, just kind of a monster. So I do like it for Begbie that we managed to get that mortar in there. Now that we're up to double Panzer IV, double Sherman? All right then. Wow. Yeah, it's an interesting point, Regin. It is kind of weird that it comes with a pack howitzer, but still. It's nice in a way, though, because you get the paratroopers who you really want. And then hang on a second, though, because we've got a bit of a big fight coming in here. Double Panzer IV going to be pushing forwards, marauding through the countryside into an AT gun and a machine gun. The Shermans are here. They're going to start kiting. The other Sherman's actually not engaged in this fight. He really needs to bring that Sherman into the fight. We need all AT resources blazing here. One of the Panzer IVs goes down to 1/3 of its health. The AT gun is going to rotate, but it's too late. And this Sherman is just not coming in. Come on, bro, we need the gun. This poor Sherman is trying to take on 2 Panzer IVs here. Oh god, he's going to come right in. This Panzer IV has been forgotten about. Begbie. Ooh. Need to get that one out of there. He's getting horrendously double teamed here. Oh god, the main gun gets destroyed. This is bad. And he will lose a Panzer IV for it. And that looks very nice. The American infantry, though, is taking a real beating. And this Panzer IV sneaking forwards. Oh god! It's so low, and it gets a bounce on the Sherman. Man, these exchanges looking good for the American player, and the tank exchanges at least. Oh god, and look at this 50 cal. The 50 cal pinning so much Axis infantry in a position where it can't immediately retreat because of the cluster barrage. Will eventually get it. Picks up the Panzer IV with the Sherman. Dutchman putting on a ludicrous display, and that is game-ending damage in the opinion of Begbie, and also in the opinion of this caster. Nicely done there. I mean, that was probably still maybe just about playable if you were playing for a lot of money, but I mean, your odds of victory from here are very low at 186 tickets under 450 with the American player with map control and double Sherman. Having hemorrhaged some infantry, which is why this game is maybe still retrievable, like it's very, very, very low percentage odds. But I mean, for a ladder game, that is definitely over. And that is the end of that game. Jeez. Wow. I feel like it's been quite a long time since I've seen Shermans roll that lucky against Panzer IV armor. Like, they were penetrating way more than bouncing, and that's rare. So, even at mid and long range as well, I feel like those Shermans were rolling pretty hot there. That's not the reason why the Angry Dutchman won. There are a lot of pieces, there are a lot of moving pieces at play there. But I mean, that was definitely a strong start for Begbie, getting the machine gun into this position, exploiting the American player heavily, taking map domination for the Wehrmacht forces early on, and then just kind of, I don't know. I mean, there was that moment where I caught the units in the base of Begbie for like 20 or 30 seconds after they were reinforced, and that always looks bad. And I wondered just how influential that was in the outcome of this game, because for sure it felt like the Axis player was struggling for resources for quite a long time, trying to break out of the doorstep of the base. And you know, if your units are out there quicker, I mean, 20 or 30 seconds is actually quite a lot. That's a lot of ground to be giving up in a way. I wonder if that really did influence that sort of phase of domination that the American player was able to set up, and then on the back of that was able to reach this end game. I don't know. I don't know if I'm overreading that because it's just a thing I saw on the camera, or if that really was important. It's kind of hard to say. Yeah, a lovely fight there though, being taken in the end by the Angry Dutchman. Fantastic stuff. Cool. Wow, we've had a clutch of decent games there. Very enjoyable. Nice to catch a game on Angerville as well, actually. Cool. Well, that actually is going to have to conclude my cast for the day. It's coming up to 2 o'clock in the afternoon here, and I still have plenty of work and plenty of calls that I need to make and get done. So thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in. You do all rock, and I really appreciate it. We're going to have a quick look on the Company of Heroes 2 Twitch listing here, see if there's someone that we can quickly host up here. Just as a way of passing the torch, passing the baton on to someone else in the community who may or may not be streaming. Let's have a look here. Oh, you know what? The Angry Dutchman, we're gonna host him up, I think. You guys can catch more Magpie 842, of course, on Wednesday and Thursday this week at those times on your screen. I'm going to do my best to remember to update the stream information so that those of you who are getting notifications get the correct notifications. And yeah, I believe that's going to be it. Thank you very much, everybody, once again, for tuning in. I'll be back on Wednesday. You'll have fun, stay safe, and be cool out there. Oh dear, is that going to work? Yeah, I think this should work. All right, we're going to raid the Angry Dutchman. Is that working? That is working. Groovy. All right. Thanks very much, everybody. Magpie 842, signing out.